Malik is the lead aquarist at the MaST Center. This is another marine life center that's based in Redondo, which is also, you're going to learn more, the Six Gill Shark Capital of the world. So it's a pretty big deal too. We're part of a collaboration of marine life centers that kind of work together. And we are so thrilled and excited to have Malik here tonight to tell us more about Six Gill Sharks, more about the MaST Center maybe, probably, yes, okay, definitely. And I'll let you take it away.
How do we get back to where I was?
Help!
Actually, I can figure it out. Yeah, we did it. Thank you all for your patience. Like Stina said, my name is Malik Johnson. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the lead aquarist at the MaST Center Aquarium. Show of hands, has anybody heard of the MaST Center Aquarium and or visited the MaST Center? All right, so very different number of people. We are located, I'll show you a little map, but this is the MaST. This is a very beautiful place to be. Like Sina said, we're a marine science center. MaST stands for Big M, Little A, Marine. And then Science and Technology Center, and we are connected to Highline College. So we are a part of the community college. We have oceanography classes, we have marine bio classes, but much like the Marine Science Center in Gig Harbor, we are open to the public, but only one day a week. We are open on Saturdays from 10 to 2, and we have tons of amazing things to show people. And my job is to run the aquarium. So if you've ever, oh, there's my map for where we're at. I always like to think that Puget Sound, or at least the South Sound, looks a little bit like a knee and a foot. I don't know if anybody else ever sees that. This is the knee, and this is kind of like that shin, and we are right there at the knee in Poverty Bay. And I'm the aquarist. I'm not an Aquarius. I'm Leo. But an aquarist is like a zookeeper. I am an animal caregiver, and I provide and manage all aspects of animal care at the MaST Center Aquarium, just like this does over at the Marine Science Center. And many people have somewhat of a preconceived idea of what an aquarist does. We throw food to the fishes, we target train the sharks, and although that is definitely true at some facilities, what I do a great portion of the time is pipes and pumps. So I know that we show of hands if we have any divers in the crowd. All right, heck yeah, I love to see it. So if you've ever dove Redondo Beach dive site, that is where we're at, right there at the MaST Center. And I personally use our pump as a marker to go down. So that big box there is what this is here on the deck, and it is my job to manage that, make sure that it's working and running. I'm also a diver. I am used to be a marine science interpretive diver over at the Seattle Aquarium, and I now get to help collect all of our fish, but also provide some of those services to our pump and things like that. And in addition to being a scientific diver down at Point Defiance, going out to do invert surveys and rockfish surveys and things like that. But I also dive a lot at Redondo Beach. But I'm not here today to talk about diving alone or even just myself. I'm here to talk about sharks. Many people do not associate our dark, cold, vigorous waters of Washington State with sharks. They think that sharks, think about sharks being in big tropical places, Australia, Hawaii, or even if you think of sharks in temperate regions, you might think of someplace like California. But believe it or not, we have quite a few sharks here in the Puget Sound. We have 12 to some folks say 14-ish species of sharks here in the Puget Sound, and this is just a few of them. In this upper left-hand corner, this is a basking shark. They're quite large and often seen up at the surface. They're pelagic, which means open ocean. I think my volume just went up a little bit. So yes, they often have those big dorsal fins slowly gliding through the surface. We've got our salmon sharks, and if you haven't noticed yet, I've got a lot of biofacts back here, fins and tails. Please check them out during or after the presentation. This is a salmon shark, another pelagic species of shark, so open ocean. It is very fast, it has those massive fins, and is eating fish and maybe opportunistically a marine mammal here or there. And not all of our sharks are very large. We have some who are in between, still pretty large, like our thresher shark. Most of their body is that massive tail. If you've ever heard of a thresher shark, thank you. They've got that whip-like tail, which they in fact do use as a whip. There are two different forms that this thresher shark can use that tail as a whip, either kind of sideways like you would imagine, and I should have pulled up a video actually, but it's really cool. That second form that they can use it as a whip is they charge really fast, and then their spines are pretty actually malleable, and that tail goes over their head, wow, and they can get prey that way. We've also got spiny dogfish sharks. These are one of the most abundant species of sharks that we have in our local waters, and are oftentimes caught by fisher folks, and I see them quite often as a diver. And then we've got down here, kind of an opposite to a dog shark, dogfish shark, this is a brown cat shark. But I want to talk today about our bluntnose six-gill shark, which is what they have here on the screen now. Bluntnose six-gill sharks are amazing. They are super, super, super primitive. They have been around for 270-ish, at least, million years, which is ancient. Especially when you think about how long sharks have been around to begin with. Sharks have been around for around 450 million years. We were talking about how that's older than bones, that's older than trees. In fact, all land plants are younger than sharks. It's older than the North Star and even the rings on Saturn. And for this reason, sharks, among many organisms, are considered to be living fossils, animals whose body plans or general layout has not changed drastically or significantly in their time on Earth. And although that's true for all sharks, most sharks, it is particularly true for our six-gill shark. And we can tell that from its name. If you've ever been curious, like, why six gills? Or don't all sharks have six gills? And the answer is no. Most sharks, that general body plan, kind of like us having 5 fingers, is that sharks have 5 gill arches on either side. Some of them, like our Indo-Pacific leopard sharks, they have maybe a 4th or 5th fused gill arch, but in six-gill sharks, they are older than that body plan. So you can see that they've got that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gill arches here. In addition to their unique gill morphology, these sharks are also lacking a primary dorsal fin. So you saw on that big basking shark, that really big, iconic shark fin. Six-gill sharks don't have that. These animals live extremely deep into the ocean. They live in ocean waters all around the world, and at depths of 6,000 to 8,000 feet. Yeah, insane. So they're not really breaching the surface ever. You can see here a little bit better that they do not have that primary dorsal fin. They do have kind of a reduced back half one. But I'm going to go back to this picture because you can see a little bit better here at how blue that eye looks. It's really, really massive. It's super duper iridescent. And this is a really great adaptation that helps these sharks take in as much light as they possibly can in these deep, deep, dark waters. And like I said, they're found in oceans all around the world at massive, massive depths. But what's really cool is that we can find them here in our backyards here all throughout the Puget Sound. I've been blessed with the chance to see a six-gill shark over in the Hood Canal. Many, many people come to Redondo Beach every summer to dive with a chance to see our six-gill sharks. And it's for that reason that, actually, I jumped ahead, I lied, forget what I just said. So, six-gill sharks are, like I said, pretty elusive. They spend most of their lives deep, deep, deep down in a place where people are not at all. And for that reason, we still don't know a ton about them. And it was the scuba divers who were really the first on the scene to realize that they were as abundant in our local waters as they even are. Hopefully this will work. I don't hear anything now. It's gonna be live.
Oh no. Oh wait, push the volume up on the computer maybe?
Please stand by. Come up here.
Unless the microphone took our, I don't know.
It's gonna come up here. Well.
How well do you know this video? You gotta narrate.
That's okay. I can. You know what? I honestly can narrate.
Yes.
So we could try our
Just
best.
kidding, we're back.
I'll go see if I can find.
That's okay. So we're gonna let it play in the background. This is a much shorter clip of a much longer free documentary by PBS that's on YouTube. I would definitely recommend checking it out. But it talks about how, like I said, scuba divers were amongst the first groups of people to realize that six-gill sharks were as abundant in our local waters as they are. And it was kind of surprising because they're not supposed to be, at least we didn't think, they're supposed to be in as shallow as 60 to 100 feet of water. And for the first time, and this was back just before 2000, a fisherman caught a six-gill shark off the dock in Alki. And the Seattle Times posted it, publicized that information as, hey, if you didn't know before, you know now that we have sharks in our local waters, and they are massive, and you can catch them. And it's been done. And this news station was met with a lot of animosity from the dive community. They were hit up with many, many letters from local divers saying, hey, we know these sharks are here. We dive with these sharks. And now that this is out and publicized, people are going to want to catch sharks, are going to want to catch six-gill sharks. And these sharks are not currently protected. And so back in 2000, after doing a little bit of research with local biologists, looking into sharks in our waters, the Seattle Aquarium lobbied with other local aquariums and organizations to say, can we get these sharks listed as protected here in our local waters and at least prevent any catching of them? And that's exactly what happened. After that, six-gill sharks, amongst all other sharks with the exception of dogfish shark, were listed as being illegal to harvest from local waters. And that in itself created a lot of tension between divers and fisher communities. That still potentially goes on today, but what's really cool about that is that we're still learning about these sharks, and divers are still amongst some of the hugest advocates for these species. I was like, oh, no. No. Okay. Yes. So effective immediately is illegal to detain any six-gill shark taken by recreational fishing in Puget Sound through marine areas 5 through 13, which is a pretty significant portion of the Puget Sound. And because of that relationship with six-gill sharks, with divers, because we know that they're here in our local waters, and this is one of the only places to our knowledge in the world that we can see these animals that are otherwise impossible to see. In recent years, time is a weird thing. In 2025, the city of Des Moines established the Six-Gill Shark established Des Moines as the Six-Gill Capital of the world, which is really, really cool. And it's due to all of that effort by the diving community, and in part by the MaST Center and our director, Russ Higley, shout out to him. And amongst all, everybody in our community who is out here advocating for these amazing animals. And I made this myself. I'm very proud. So another effort that came out of Des Moines being established as the Six-Gill Capital was some recent lobbying to propose the Six-Gill Shark as not only being the capital of Des Moines, but our state shark. No other state in the country has a state shark, which I think is really quite crazy. You would think that Hawaii has a state shark or something, but it is truly a missed opportunity. We have a state fossil, we have state all types of things, but we do not have a state shark yet. And so there were two bills. I'm really bad at politics, so forgive me if this is not wrong, but Senate bill and a House bill, 6108 and 2447. You should look those up. But unfortunately, they did not make their way through. But that isn't to say that the Six-Gill Shark won't be our state shark. More efforts are hopefully to be made in the next year. But all of this is because these sharks are so iconic to our local waters, because divers have such a strong, and not just divers, but all members of our community have such a deep connection with these iconic species. And I know I tried to find a six-gill shark, but I couldn't. We do have great whites off the coast, not in the inland sea. So you might ask, why should I care? And I know all of you people are fabulous and you already care, but sharks are a part of the ecosystem. A healthy community, a healthy marine ecosystem has sharks. Not just six-gill sharks, but all 12, 13 species that we have here are crucial parts of removing organisms that might be overpopulated. And what's really cool is six-gill sharks, check out their jaws. They have incredible tooth morphology. I know Rachel would love to tell you about them. It is also a reflection of their primitive biology, but these sharks are fairly opportunistic. They are quite the scavengers. And if you think about the environments in which they live, 6,000, 8,000 feet deep, you can't be picky about what you're eating. Much of what they're eating is a dead seal. A whale fall is a smorgasbord for sharks, and there are several videos of groups of sharks, six-gill sharks, coming together and feasting on these massive whales falling down to the bottom of the ecosystem. And this in itself makes nutrients available for other organisms, is a huge part of that nutrient cycle. And like I said, a healthy ecosystem. So I know this is a sad picture to put up if you think about the implications of that. But sharks are a member of the community, and we really, really need them. They're super important. And for that purpose, I stole this off your guys' website, by the way. Thank you so much. So are we. And I love that the members group is called the Steward Club. I didn't even know that before today. Because, Why should you care? That's why you should care. But what you can do is something that many of you guys are already doing, is being mindful ocean stewards, being mindful participants of the ecosystems that you already are a part of. So getting out in nature, being a part of these ecosystems, learning things that you do not know, not just for yourself, but doing it so you can contribute to a larger body of knowledge. Show of hands if you've heard of community science or citizen science. Woo woo, amazing. So the community science is just another opportunity for everyday people like ourselves to go out there and not just learn for ourselves, but learn on behalf of professional scientists who can take the information that we're gathering to use to inform decisions about animals that we don't know about, like Six Gill sharks, to push laws and lobby and advocate for all of these important parts of the community. And so it's not just getting out there and learning and having fun, but it's protecting. You said earlier, if it hits the ground, it hits the sound, and that is very much true. Everything makes its way into our waterways. Trash, plastics. And so at whatever level of mindfulness you are at, if you're like, I'm already thinking about how I wear polyester and the microfibers that go into my washing machine, fabulous, amazing. But if you're not, think about how maybe you can leave a Tupperware in your car for the next time you go to takeout. I don't know. Or just recycle. How many people have, I know we're drinking, but how many people have reusable water bottles? That is already another amazing way to be an ocean steward. So I know some of you are scuba divers, and I know I've said you can see these amazing animals out here in Redondo, out here on our local waters, and here is proof of that. This isn't the longest video, but this is from last summer, and this was at Redondo Beach. Of course, my sound is not working. So what do the sharks don't sound like? Actually, so I was supposed to make a joke about how the shark was breathing really hard, but didn't get that chance. So this is a amazing footage that Abby was able to take and was able to submit as a sighting on our website. Both the MaST Aquarium, our Six Gill Shark tab page, has a place at the bottom where you can submit sightings. But there was also the sixgillsharks.org website. Both of these are great places for local divers to say, hey, I saw a shark at this day, I took a picture. This is another amazing form of citizen science, community science, allowing professional researchers to acquire that information on your behalf. What is happening here? Okay. But it's not just getting out and doing things on your own, but like I said, if you want to learn more, and many of you already are doing so with Harbor Wild Watch, but expand that network, get out there, volunteer with us at the MaST Center. If you want to come and see, we saw, not orcas, they were north of us in the Des Moines Marina, which was really cool. Other folks saw them. We see porpoises all of the time, so do come and join us. We have people from 10 years old and up, which is amazing, no requirements needed. Yeah, and you need to volunteer at least once a month, which I don't think is too big when asked. And something that we do at the MaST Center Aquarium, to not just walk the walk, but talk the talk as well, is a variety of co-science or community science endeavors. And one of the ones that I think is most applicable to kind of our overall ecosystem health is we look at harmful algal blooms. So things like pseudonychia, which is this red tide here, which can be pretty harmful to not just like us, itchy and gross, but like to food organisms, to invertebrates, and fish inversely, marine mammals as well, and that impacts that ecosystem, impacts that cycle, and ultimately affects everyone. And so having an idea of what is going on in our local waters on a weekly basis is one of the things that we try to do to be most informed. I didn't say it before, but our habitat, our aquarium, is roughly 3,000 gallons of raw seawater that has little to no filtration, that is coming straight through our main intake pump into our habitats and then right back out to the sound. And so anything that's happening, in Poverty Bay is impacting our collection as well. So we were wanting to really be mindful of that. And if you are interested in learning more about harmful algal blooms, or we also do larval light trap data. Larval organisms are attracted to light, so we put out these light traps and a way for them to get in but not get out. And we look at the composition of organisms that are in our water column, which varies greatly throughout the year. And then, if you're like, I do enough, I'm already mindful, I'm burnt out, Malik, simply just celebrate with us. That is good enough. National Six Gill Shark Day is July 6th. So go out, do a polar plunge, watch Shark Tales, I don't know, do something to celebrate the Six Gill Shark. Do a beach walk, that's what you should do. Hit up that calendar and go do a Six Gill Shark beach walk, even if it's +6. Yeah. So last year the fates aligned that we were able to have Six Gill Shark in the Park on Shark Day. This year's Shark in the Park, the weekend falls on July 4th, so that's not happening. And so instead it's going to be Sunday, July 12th from 11 to 4, and it is getting bigger and better, which is really cool. We're going to have tons of vendors. The road right in front of the MaST Center Aquarium is going to be closed off. It's going to be a proper block party, so come out and join us for that. Look for an opportunity to come volunteer if that's your groove. There will be someone dressed up in a shark costume. Last year we had a giant stride for scuba divers, but definitely come out, get some food, show your face. And if you can't make that, that's totally okay too. Like I said, we're open to the public on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then on Sundays for the same hour during the summer as well. And you know what? As I was reading, I got real nervous a little bit, and I completely forgot to mention, where do the Six Gill sharks go? They get big. So that massive jaw back there is an adult female, and I know that because there's a cheat sheet on it. But they can grow to be upwards of 16 to 18 feet long, which is absolutely massive. But those aren't the ones that we see here. We see the relatively small individuals at like 9 to 12 feet. And so for a really long time, scientists were trying to figure out how long are they here? Why are they here? And Six Gill sharks, like I said, are highly migratory. They can be found in oceans all around the world. And so the individuals here are proposed or thought to be juveniles that are being born here and then spending the first couple of years of their life here in the Puget Sound in the nursery that the Salish Sea is, and then something just switches and they go up and out the Strait of Juan de Fuca, out to the deep oceans and live their lives there. And who knows if they come back to have their own babies in local waters. So what does site fidelity look like for these sharks? I am not sure. I'm not sure if that answer or that question has been answered, but I'm really excited to have my finger on the pulse as ongoing research for sharks continues to happen. Also, Liz here has a Six Gill Shark caudal fin. They are really, really elongated, so when you're looking at any kind of fish tail, and these sharks are fish, if they are kind of that iconic salmon tail, equal-sized lobes, that's called homocircle. And those are good for speed, good for moving in the middle of the water column. However, if you have a nice elongated heterocircle tail, you are probably taking life in the slow lane a little bit, maybe swimming closer to the bottom, or in an environment that requires you to navigate a little bit more, like in a lagoon. Look at like a Indo-Pacific leopard shark. They have a very elongated heterocircle tail as well. And so I just think that in addition to their bright iridescent eyes that allow them to take in all of, and massive eyes too, that allow them to take in all the light deep down, their six gills, these unique teeth morphology, their tail shape, all make them such an iconic, uniquely adapted fish and shark in general. So shout out Six Gill Sharks. That's kind of the end of my presentation, I think. Thank you. I don't know how long that was. I'm happy to answer any questions at any time. Oh, that was quick, yes.
Are the sharks that are here in Puget Sound, are they a threat to divers, or is it a thrill that they get to see them, but that they consider the sharks relatively harmless?
I'm gonna love you guys because you're gonna ask all the things that I meant to say in my presentation, but didn't. So I think there have only ever been 2 shark incidents in Washington State, ever, since like 1830 something, and they have both oddly happened in Grays Harbor, not with Six Gill Sharks. And due to the nature of where these sharks are, you're not going to see them unless you go looking for them. So oftentimes divers who are at risk of interacting with these sharks are highly aware that they're there and are not worried about it. Many of the videos, you see sharks kind of booping the camera. They're not concerned about that at all. And it's part of having a humble respect for these animals, making sure that you're not reaching out to touch them, you're not looking to chum the waters, you're not looking to feed these animals, you're simply being a mindful and respectful participant. So there have not been any recorded incidences, and I don't know anyone who isn't absolutely just thrilled to hopefully see a six-gill shark in the water. So yeah. You had a question here, and then yeah.
I'm just wondering what their life expectancy is, and have they ever been tagged?
So I have heard of recent efforts to try to tag some six-gill sharks. I'm not exactly sure of the details of that or even where they're at, but we don't know what their life expectancies are, how long they live, and like I said, if they come back. Those are some of the unknowns. Rachel, do you have any idea?
No, not really. I know that Seattle Aquarium is the only body who's doing any sort of research, and they were tagging sharks using physical markers that used like shapes to tag individuals, and then they kind of all went away a little bit. So very hard to. There have been no like radio tag studies. Those are very expensive to do for wide-ranging migratory species like six-gill sharks are. So yeah, it's a big question mark.
Yes, you in the back, and then you with the great hand.
What might be the most likely sharks that you might find in the South Sound?
Without a doubt, a spiny dogfish shark. They're going to be the most abundant sharks that we've got in our local waters. I love them. I've seen like 6 of them in the last 2.5 years of being a diver pretty avidly in our local waters, but I've only seen 1 six-gill shark, and that's the end of my shark sightings. Yes?
You mentioned that like a lot of people come in the summer to dive into them. Is that because they're more around, or because the water's warmer? Why the summer?
That is when people tend to see them the most. And from starting in like late July through September is what I like to think of as kind of the Six Gill season when people are seeing them most often. I saw my first and only Six Gill over in the Hood Canal on my birthday on July 30th, so the end of July. But you know, they're still there. It's not impossible. And why we're seeing them more in the summers, also we don't know. I don't know. Question back here.
Do they have any unusual mating habits? We had a splash about 2 meetings ago. Unusual mating habits.
Yeah, I do remember your love on the sound talk. Not to my knowledge. No. What I do know about shark reproduction that is generic enough to likely apply to them is that sharks have external reproductive structures, so you can identify a male from a female. The males have claspers, which I think is pretty cool or unique. That was always a hit at the zoo. And then something that I do think is unique for a variety of different shark species. I can't say with any certainty at all that it happens in Six Gills, but in something like a nurse shark, what I think is really cool is that sharks will clamp, or the male will clamp down on the pectoral fin of his partner, and they do some wrestling, and that is what copulation looks like. So whether that form of reproduction happens with Six Gill sharks, I would be very interested to know. But kind of just in my thought or thinking out loud, if the individual sharks that have been observed in Puget Sound are thought to be juveniles, I would be surprised if there has been any recorded reproduction, because maybe they're not reproductively viable. Like when does that happen? So I would love to know. And the Bluntnose Six Gill shark, Hexanchus griseus, is one of 3 species of Six Gill sharks. There is the Atlantic Six Gill shark, and then the Big Eye Six Gill shark as well. So maybe some of these answers have been asked, or questions have been asked and answered with them in different parts of the world, but I couldn't say for sure with the Bluntnose. You and then you.
So there are 2 parts.
Yeah.
One is, you said they go really deep. How deep do they go? And what animals or fish do they compete with at those depths?
Yeah, so my brain is saying 6,000 to 8,000 feet. Those are the numbers that I've seen. And really, you're not competing for anything. They're opportunistic scavengers for the most part. And really, at the size that they are, there is not much that is competitive. And many scavengers don't need to truly compete for food because it's just there. So when you're coming across a several ton dead sperm whale, it's just like, hey guys, come feast, until it's gone, and then at that point you're satiated. So there may be some opportunistic competition, locally, but it's not like, hey, I'm running you off, or that there's that degree of competition.
Aside from the eyes, is there anything else anatomically that enables them to go to that depth?
I would imagine their size enables them to go to that depth. Granted, you do not have to be large there's kind of a two-way approach to deep sea things. You're either really big or really small. And so they appear to have taken that kind of larger pathway, but the smallest shark in the world, the dwarf lantern shark, EB, is also a deep sea shark, so I couldn't say that is particularly advantageous for deep sea specifically. The eyes are what come to my mind. I can imagine, and I'm not a physiologist by any means, and I don't know entirely the purpose of that six gill arch. If it's we're able to process oxygen better with that six gill shark, or maybe we weren't able to process oxygen well enough, and so we needed that six gill arch, and we're just as effective with six as we are as someone else may be with five because of that primitive body plan. But possibly is that six gill arch something that is advantageous for living in a deeper environment. We have seven gill sharks as well, and within that Hexanchidae family, there's also the frilled shark that has six gill arches that lives fairly deep, and so this could be an advantageous adaptation that persisted in this family of sharks because they were at these deeper depths. So just a bunch of hypotheses and outside thoughts on that, but take it with a grain of salt. Anybody else, feel free to say anything. Okay, I'm gonna go back here and then to you.
I noticed when I dive Redondo, a lot of divers looking for the sharks will put pieces of bait on the camera extensions. Is that frowned upon or illegal?
It's not illegal, it is frowned upon. It is quite a dichotomy in the community on whether or not people care. I care. I highly advise against feeding wildlife of any kind. And that's all I'll say on that. You.
It seems amazing to me that this critter is, shallow water with that big eye and going to those depths. Do they have an eyelid?
Yes and no. No, not like you and I do, but sharks are, never want to say always, but almost across the board have a nictitating membrane, so kind of like not a third eyelid or a second one because they don't have one, but a protective membrane that rolls over their eye, and that's beneficial because if you're going kind of blindingly at, a mouthful of sperm whale with guts and bone and hard things potentially, and or even if you're a predator that is actively pursuing a prey, you run the risk of hurting your eyes that are
and at 8,000 feet, your eyes, I would think, would be very vulnerable.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of pressure down there.
Interesting.
But yes, they have that nictitating membrane.
Nictitating.
Yeah, and I believe that's what it's called for sharks. It's definitely what it's called for birds. Yes, you and then you.
You've been confident in telling us that sharks are mostly between 6,000 and 8,000 feet. How do they know that?
I don't know. I would imagine through studies that have been done. They're all scholarly, peer-reviewed papers that are saying this, and so that's just I need to look more into the methods. But what Rachel said is that although there have not been a ton of fervent efforts to tag the Bluntnose six-gill shark in local waters, this does not mean that it has not happened at all. The Seattle Aquarium themselves were identifying, they would take you get 3 triangles, and you get a triangle, a star, and a triangle, and you get a square, circle, square, and that would be your kind of gamer tag ID, and that's who you are. And whether there's a catch and release kind of thought of that where we get you, we tag you, we send you off, and if you never come back, we don't know. And so whether there have been other methods of tagging that reveal that form of information, or if it's inferred by where the food is, and I'm not sure, but science knows a lot of cool stuff.
I guess part of my question is, would it be by cameras that are at different depths in studies, and at the deepest or at that level is where they found them compared to other species, other fish, whatever, are at different levels?
Honestly, you're probably right. Submersibles and deep sea cameras are, because I have seen footage of sharks, smorgasbord at the sperm whale fall, And I can imagine that's I don't know if it's a manned submersible or if it's just a tethered one, but you're probably head on that is how they're getting that information. These sharks weren't looking tagged in the videos that I was watching. Yeah. We had one in the corner and then for you.
Yeah, if it's now a live birth or eggs?
Live birth, and a lot of them. There was like 18 to like 30 pups found in these big old mamas, because and sharks almost, once again, never always, but the ladies are often bigger than the gentlemen, just due to that reproductive investment, and they're investing a lot. It is dozens of pups at a time. We had you and then you.
Where else in the world are blue sharks, Six Gill sharks found?
All over.
All over.
Yeah, all temperate and tropical waters.
As far as Antarctica and Arctic?
So as far as the deep sea conditions are fairly stable across the board, despite your latitude, just because it's extreme everywhere. And so Six Gill sharks, to my knowledge, are found in oceans around the world at all latitudes, tropical, temperate, and apparently here in the inland sea as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So you said they're very deep, but when they come into the Puget Sound, what's the average depth that you find them? Is it like really, really, really shallow, or are they still kind of down? Is there kind of half
So when I have heard anywhere from 60 to 100. I was really lucky. When I saw my shark, it was at like 60 feet. I had just dropped down, and I was not expecting to see a shark there. I was thrilled, a little scared at first, but most of the time when folks are doing dives at Redondo, they're planning to go to depths of 90 to 110 feet. Yeah.
I saw one at between 10 and probably 4 feet during a pink salmon run season.
Wow.
That were chasing pink salmon that I had caught. and followed the fish up towards the boat, and I saw two on 2 separate days. Could have been the same shark, but so they come up pretty.
Yeah, and
that's a favorite food, I guess.
And it's probably less of a favorite food, more so as a high calorie food. It's a nutritionally significant food, because what Rachel just said is they are highly opportunistic.
Yeah.
They're going to go where the food is, and that is a testament to how little we still know and how much there is to still learn about what is common. What is, for these animals who've been around for 270 million years, we have no idea what that scope of scale is for what is normal, where they go, and with this highly migratory nature of them, when do they come back, if they come back at all? Because like Rachel was saying, the Seattle Aquarium was doing this ongoing study for a handful of years, having consistent sharks that were tagged, and then all of a sudden, like a light switch, they were gone. So we don't know, which is insane and exciting. Did we have another question? Or was that all?
How big was the one that you saw?
The one that I saw was probably like 10 or 11 feet. It was significantly longer than myself. Yeah. Yes.
I'm just curious, how do you become an aquarist?
Oh, how do you become an aquarist?
What kind of schooling do you have?
Any. Really. It's less about the schooling and more about the passion. It is not a glamorous job. It is a fabulous job. I love it. You do it because you love to learn. You are a highly compassionate and empathetic person who cares for everything without a face, with a face, and in between. I don't have any kids. I've got thousands. And you take work home with you a lot. And it is not highly paying, but it is very rewarding in a lot of ways. But that is to say, I have known aquarists, animal care professionals who have had backgrounds in everything from English to general science, biology. My own background is in wildlife ecology and conservation sciences. And that was, very specific. But when you are pursuing a career in husbandry, you have to be really open-minded. I did not set out to work with fish growing up. I've worked with everything from leopards, muskoxen, elephants, birds of prey, rabbits, and so husbandry across the board is something that you do to care for a pet, a patient, an animal of any kind, and it's more so about that skill set. In caregiving, how are animals compatible with each other? What do life systems look like? Water quality and chemistry, pipes and pumps, life support systems. Having a strong foundation in that is really all that it takes. I know so many at-home aquarists who are some of the best aquarists ever, the hobbyists. And so if you have a habitat at home, you are already an aquarist in my eyes. And if you don't, that's a great place to start. Yeah. Any other thoughts, comments?
Can you unplug the HDMI cord? Because I think our volume's working now. Yeah, just unplug that. Nope, never mind.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or complaints?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep that round of applause going for Malik. I would say that was a awesome presentation, fantastic job, all the things, and reminds me that if you're not doing anything next week on Wednesday, 7 p.m., let's channel that Six Gill Shark energy for our final peer into the night of the season. We'll be at 7 Seas, 7 p.m. for a 7 gill? No, 6 gill. Thank you all so much for coming. All the folks who will be around to hang out, answer more questions. I know Malik has all the shark exhibits in the back, so stick around, say hi for a little bit, and enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks so much.
Thank you.